And then you lead to hear right before a Peach Bowl, right before they take on Texas, ASU Sun Devil morale at an all-time high, just before Arizona State takes on the Texas Longhorns in the Peach Bowl. Massive news for Sun Devil Nation, for everybody who loves maroon and gold. Arizona State and Kenny Dillingham have come to terms on a new 5-year extension that could lead up to a 10-year extension due to incentives. Espo, this is such a massive moment for ASU because, yes, as of where we're recording right now, the Peach Bowl has not happened yet. But win or loss, you can rest assured that Kenny Dillingham will be steering this ship for a long, long time to come.
Well, and this is what you do when a guy comes in, proves that he wants to be part of your program and wants to build it into a powerhouse.
Yeah.
You reward him, so you give the confidence to players that are either here now or wanting to come here that he is here for the long haul. This is not a stepping stone program for him. There's not the rumors that he's going to look for bigger and better, because Kenny Dillingham believes that he can turn Arizona State into that premier college program. Yeah. And in year 2, he's proven that that's a possibility. He deserves to be paid as one of the top coaches in the Big 12. He deserves to have security for the long term for him, for his family, and for his players and staff. So this was the right move at the right time, well-deserved, and I think Kenny is exactly what you want at the helm.
I was in the room right after Kenny got hired. He was doing one of his many media rounds interviews, and he was asked directly, what would you do if your dream school came knocking, this big opportunity, blue blood, and without even missing a beat, the way that Kenny Dillingham does, where it's not premeditated and thought about, it's just genuine from the heart. He goes, I'm already at my dream job.
Yeah.
He's like, that's what I would tell them. Like, I'm not looking to go anywhere else. I'm not looking to, revamp Arizona State, make us a good story. And now all of a sudden, Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State, whoever comes calling, and now I'm going off to do whatever I want to do or maybe go to the NFL. He's genuinely where he wants to be. I was able to talk to Jake Plummer, the honorary Peach Bowl captain and, of course, Heisman candidate, quarterback for the 1996 Rose Bowl team. That's up on PHNX Sports right now if you want to check that out as well. And I asked him about Kenny, and he said, it's fantastic because the players are coming back. He's investing in the community. He wants this. And if he needs to get paid, if he demands more money, it is no questions asked. You pay them. And I think there are some people, if you took them back a couple years ago, who would have doubts that an Arizona State University would commit this type of resources to a coach. But it's so blatantly obvious now, the type of fan support, the fan turnout taking over in Atlanta, what it's been like here locally as well. This guy's impact goes beyond just on the field, where he's great, but it's literally about reviving a community and what once was a consistently good force in football.
Well, what you need in leadership is somebody that truly believes in where they are. It's not about them. It's about building something and about building the place that you're passionate about. Kenny Dillingham checks all those boxes. Do you really think a bigger name coach like a Nick Saban, was it really about Alabama, or was it about Nick Saban? Like, did he really care about Alabama, even though it was the top of the top? Maybe not. I don't know.
He cares, but it's different.
It's different. It's Kenny, not personal.
Right. Kenny was literally, and Jake told me this yesterday, Kenny was at the games wearing a Jake Plummer jersey.
Yes.
Like, that's just, you can care, but that's a different level of care.
Yeah, I mean, when you grow up around it, when you go there, when you coach there prior to your career, really blossoming in the way it has for Kenny, it's personal. And when it's personal, it is so much different than just being a hired gun, right? Mm-hmm. And I hate to always bring up Deion, but it's the same conference, right? Does Deion care as much about Colorado, or does Deion care about Deion and his personal stuff? And he cares about those kids, but I think he'd care about those kids anywhere.
At Jacksonville State. Like,
Florida State if they came calling. Right. The NFL if it came calling.
And that's calling. Not an indictment on Deion. It's more just like a paint the picture of what this means currently. Yes. Like, I know a lot of people, it's like if you praise one thing, you got to tear down the other, right? And sure, we've had a lot of crap to give Deion, and I'll continue to do that. They had a great season over in Colorado. I can't tell you 5, 6, 7 years from now that I'm confident that Deion Sanders will be repping Colorado. I would be floored, shocked, if within the next decade Kenny Dillingham is not coaching at Arizona State University.
If Kenny Dillingham performs and turns this school into what he believes he can and what he has this year, he could be a 2025 year kind of coach. He could be the next kind of Frank Kush, who's there as long as he wants to be there, right? And he's young, he's passionate, he believes in ASU, he's gotten results. Why would you not reward it? Why would you not want him here 5, 10, 15 years if the success continues? And you have to pay for what's been proven. And he's proven that he can turn this program into a winner. Now, does he have to do it again and again? Yeah, that's the business. Of course you do. But he's done more in his second season than most coaches have ever done at Arizona State, and you have to reward that for the efforts.
And at the same time as well, it's so easy to get behind Kenny, because if you look at the process of how you lead to an extension for him, he talks about his players nonstop. So he talks about the NIL deals, what you can do to get them to the next level to make sure that they stay here. And you see so many players from this team already committing to come back next year in an era of college football where even teams like Georgia, after they win a national championship, or whoever that makes it to the college football playoffs, you're going to have an incredible amount of turnover. And ASU will still have some, but not to the same level. So you take care of your players. Then you look at your coordinators, mainly offensive, defensive coordinator, Brian Ward, Marcus Arroyo. Two of the best coordinators in college football, easily could go be head coaches somewhere else for the next couple of years. They are locked up to extensions right before a massive game against BYU. And then you lead to here right before a Peach Bowl, right before they take on Texas, ASU Sun Devil morale at an all-time high. And you kind of secure the fact where, yes, ASU's been playing with house money. And yes, if they do end up losing to Texas, which maybe people are watching now and they already have, or playing this at halftime and it's not looking good, whatever, there will be this sense of like, hey, we gave it all we had and what an incredible season. Now you add on to the end of that, we can make this something sustainable, because if somebody's comfortable, the way that Kenny makes his players comfortable, if Arizona State, which they have, makes him comfortable, it just empowers him to continue to do what he's doing and go on an upward trajectory.
Yeah, well, look, we've heard, and I even wrote about it early in the season, ASU sleeping giant, Kenny woke him up. We've heard the storyline in the past, right, with multiple coaches. I mean, even some thought Herm might be that
I was
guy.
on the Herm train, I'll admit it.
But, the difference here is it does seem like it has staying power because of Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
People in this town who never took notice, right, or at least haven't in 2 decades since Jake was on the field, right, that they're taking notice of the program. They're taking notice of Kenny. It reminds me, with Kenny's personality, with his early success, what he's done, a lot of when Charles Barkley came to this town. And obviously Kenny, an unknown quantity, where Charles was proven coming from Philly, but in the swagger, in the attention that it's generated, in the confidence that he has in himself and his team. Like, I like that, because this town gravitates towards that, right? And uplifts that in a lot of cases, and we've rarely had it. And everybody, I went to U of A. Like, I didn't go to ASU. I've given my wife a hard time about going to ASU over the years. But I am all in on Kenny Dillingham, because having interacted with him, having seen what his team accomplishes on the field, he's a guy that just makes you want to be better when you interact with him. And he's genuine, and genuine always wins. Because if you're not genuine, if you're not honest when you go in and recruit, when you try to coach a team, when you try to lead anywhere, if you're not genuine, it does not work, because eventually people understand that you're just saying what sounds good.
Right.
And that falls on deaf ears eventually. Kenny doesn't have that. Kenny has the ability to lead men and create men in the process.
And to wrap things up here, I think everything you're saying was right. And being not genuine can lead to success in a short, quick flash. And not to, I know it's like, oh, Arizona, ASU, but I actually think Arizona is a good example of this with Jet Fish, right? And I think U of A fans would agree. You take something and you turn it around from nothing, right? And you capture this magic in the moment, but it's only built for the moment. And then once people start departing and they start focusing on other things, you're kind of left to pick up the pieces. ASU was not supposed to be good this year. This was supposed to be the bamboo growing, as Kenny says, and it's just growing slowly and you don't notice it. And then all of a sudden you turn around and boom, it's tall. The reason why this feels sustainable is because this team was not built to be a flash in the pan this year. This team was built to be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year build to get to this point. But because the process was right, because the players are genuine and the coaches are genuine, and there's some legitimate talent on this team that goes significantly underrated, you've ended up to the end of that bamboo a lot faster. That doesn't mean that you still haven't laid that foundation to build going forward. That's the most important thing. You can build a skyscraper really fast, but if you don't build it on a solid foundation, it's going to crumble. Kenny's already got the foundation, and for some reason, it's already being built fast too.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the difference was Jed obviously was using it as a stepping stone.
Exactly.
Kenny isn't. Kenny's building, and not for the quick result. He's trying to build for the long term, and you look at it, and Levitt has eligibility for a while. Now, granted, he may get the NFL call sooner than people
But even
expected,
before that, you've got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
At least next season.
And you look at the recruiting that Kenny's been able to do. Those kind of things, have been expedited because of what's going on this season, which helps you build an even stronger foundation for the future faster than you expected. So hopefully for them, it's a snowball effect, and this is the start of something. Now, maybe it's not always college football playoff, but
That's a
it's
hard line to live by.
Yeah, it's competing for the Big 12 on a regular basis, because you haven't even seen an ASU football team that's competing for their conference title on a regular basis, getting to high-quality bowl games, and then getting in the playoff, every handful of years is probably a fair expectation.
Right.
Like the biggest thing that could be a downfall for Kenny in the long run is this puts the expectations far too high every year, because you can't, in college football, rarely can you be at this level every year, but getting there on a regular basis is the key, and I think they've got the foundation to do it.
And now he has a little bit of a safety net to feel comfortable to maybe experience not something like this year, which, quite frankly, even if they are competing for a Big 12 championship, they are in the college football playoffs next year, you won't be able to capture the feeling of what's going on this year again. Maybe you're watching this before the Peach Bowl game. You don't even know what's going on yet. You're catching this on PHNX Sports early. Make sure you tune in pregame show 30 minutes before kickoff. Watch along for the entire game, and then a postgame show all right here on PHNX Sports. You hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications button as well to go along with this miraculous season. And if we do enter off-season coverage, he mentioned the recruiting, the transfer portal. Kenny Dillingham is all over, plus ASU basketball in the midst of their season as well. We have you covered with all of that, the most comprehensive Sun Devil coverage that you could imagine. If you're watching at halftime, make sure you stick around. We will be back very soon for the second half of this watch along. Drop your comments on what you think is going to happen in the second half and what you think went wrong or right in the first. If you're catching this after the game and you didn't know that we did a post game, you don't know about all the coverage. We have boots on the ground in Atlanta with Anthony Totri and Shane Diefenbach. Well, again, right here on PHNX Sports. Go back, check that out as we continue to march forward through the Sun Devil season. I appreciate you, Espo, for joining us here, and it's a big time. Let's see what happens.